Logo designers worked hard to make sure that one picture can perfectly represent a brand that you will recognize in less than a second. But if you saw what they looked like years ago, it wouldn't have the same effect. Just wait until you see what Twitter's logo first looked like. We have to admit that it was a little disgusting. If this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe, and please give this video a big thumbs up. Today we are showing you 15 famous logos that looked very different back then. McDonald's. As soon as we see these golden arches, we immediately feel hungry. It is a symbol that we can easily recognize no matter where we are in the world. And we have to admit that we are all loving it. But decades ago, McDonald's logo was not the kind of picture that would easily stand out. From 1948 to 1953, a black and white logo simply said, McDonald's famous hamburgers, buy 'em by the bag. Then, in 1953, a new logo was created as the fast food restaurant became a franchise and the name was shortened to McDonald's. You could see Speedy, McDonald's first mascot, in the picture. It was used until 1968, when it was replaced by the mascot we all know, Ronald McDonald. It's in 1961 that we first got the chance to see the golden arches. The logo changed a little bit over time until it became the one we all know today. It is probably now one of the most famous logos in the world. Lego. This logo might be really simple, but it has everything it takes to be fun. The vibrant colors, the round letters, and a look that any child would easily recognize. But in 1934, Lego's logo was kind of boring. It was simply the name of the brand written in black. The logo was not used on toys yet, so they didn't need to get the attention of children. By 1940, the company had a new logo for their wooden toys, and then a new one in the 50s for the plastic toys. It's also at that time that the logo started to look like the one we know today. The company tried different kinds of fonts and different colors until they found the one that was the most popular. The logo that they created in the 70s was really similar to the one we know today, as they simply used graphic tightening for a better digital reproduction. CocaCola. As soon as we see this logo on a bottle or can, we know that we are going to open happiness. But did you know that this drink is 130 years old? Frank M. Robinson is the one who designed the logo. He thought that the two letters C looked good in advertising and drew the logo in flowy handwriting. Everyone agreed that it looked good, and this is also the reason why it is really similar to the logo we know today. But the designer went a little crazy in 1890 when he created a new logo with a lot of extra swirls. It was so unpopular that it lasted for only a year before they went back to the previous logo. Then, all they needed was a little more red to make sure that the drink gets all the attention it deserves. Pepsi. This time, the soft drink went through a lot more transformations over the years. Just recently, the company paid $1 million to change their logo, and we're not sure that it was worth it, even though they claim that it has something to do with the golden ratio. But if you look at the first logo from 1898, you'll see that a lot of things have changed since the company was created. It had all the extra twirls that didn't work for Coca-Cola, and we think that it made the logo look kind of messy. They simplified it in the 1900s, but it was still really similar to the popular soft drink. It is not until the 40s that they added the red, white, and blue to represent the colors of the United States. Then, in the 60s, they changed the name Pepsi-Cola for Pepsi only, and improved the look of the logo over the years. Nike. It is so easy to recognize this athletic clothing brand that they don't even need to add their name in the logo anymore. The solo swoosh is all they need for people all around the world to know who they are. And actually, it has always been a part of the design. In 1971, it was behind the name of the brand, until they moved it under so it would be easier to read. The swoosh has the ability to make us see movements in a simple picture. It represents the wing of the statue of the Greek goddess of victory, also named Nike. It is surprising to think that its designer, Carolyn Davidson, was paid only $35 for the right to use the logo in 1971. If she knew that this brand would become so popular, she would have asked for more. Almost 20 years after, you still see this logo on everyone's clothes at the gym. Google. You probably use Google's services every day to search something, read your emails, go on YouTube, or simply surf the web. It became such an important part of our lives that we even invented the verb Googling. This is why you have already seen the technology company change its logo many times on special occasions. It all started in 1997, during the pre-launch, when the logo looked a little too childish. But they quickly fixed it in 1998 to make it simpler. There was also an exclamation mark for a year, but it didn't last long until they got rid of it. And now, it is so easy to recognize the colors and the letter G that Google isn't shy to have fun with their logo. The first doodles in the 2000s were simple but always playful, and the company tried a lot of different things over the years for occasions like Valentine's Day, the New Year's Day, or someone's birthday. Our favorite one is probably the one in which we can play Pac-Man. What about you? Instagram. There are millions of pictures on this app, but did you pay attention to the picture of the app itself? The logo was changed in 2016 to a sunset of colors to simplify the Polaroid camera. Many people complained and said that they wanted the original logo back, but little did they know, most of them didn't know what they were talking about. The original logo before 2010 was actually a much more realistic Polaroid camera, designed by CEO Kevin Systrom himself, but he thought that it had nothing to do with the app and asked for the help of the user, designer, and photographer Cole Rise. Even if the logo was recently changed, Rise loves it even more. He says that he likes minimalism, the white shape of the symbol, and thinks that this new logo will persist over time. We had to get used to it at first, but we have to admit that we now prefer the new one too. Ikea. If you ever went to Ikea, you have probably seen this logo a lot, just like us. And that's not because we were fascinated by it, but because we kept getting lost in this maze and kept seeing the logo everywhere. The logo is much simpler than building any of the furniture from this store. It is the name of the brand in capital letters on a blue and yellow background. But the first logo looked more like something you would see on a jar of strawberry jam. The logo changed a lot in the early 50s to be simplified by 1953. Then, the designers experimented with a lot of colors until they found what would look best for the brand. In 1967, the logo had the shape that we know but was in black and white. Then, in 1981, it was in red and white. It is not until 1992 that we saw the blue and yellow logo that we all know today. Volkswagen. Many of us think of having the chance to own that car, maybe even a vintage one. But did you ever think of what the logo used to look like at that time? We all recognize that stylish letter W that we see today on a blue background. But the original logo used to be really different. Before the war, in 1937 to 1939, the logo looked much more psychedelic with all these lines. It was quickly modified during the war from 1939 to 1945, and then, in 1945, it was already really similar to the famous logo that we can see today. The company experimented with different shades of blue until the 2000s. Then, for the new millennium, it received a 3D makeover. In 2012, a shine was added to make the logo stand out, and it is still the one that the company uses nowadays. Internet Explorer. The internet changed so quickly that the logo we saw 2 decades earlier already looks really kitsch. The Internet Explorer logo is now more modern, with its simplified look and the light blue color. But do you remember what Microsoft Internet Explorer 1 looked like in 1995? The resolution in this picture is so low that it makes us feel a little bit older. And we're not sure about the choice of dark blue and green color either. The icon stayed the same for several years, while the logo kept changing for every new version. This modern world is moving fast, just like the company. It's in 1996 that we first saw the designed letter E in the logo, and the letter was used on its own since the 2000s. The company kept improving the logo every year, and you can probably see the final result on your computer now. Shell. With that name, the oil and gas company couldn't really change their logo. This is why you can still see a red and yellow Shell nowadays when you're looking for a gas station. The name of the company, Shell Transport and Trading Company, appeared in 1891 as they dealt with antiques and oriental seashells. The first logo in 1901 was a mussel shell, but it didn't look so good. This is why they quickly changed it for a scallop shell in 1904. When the Royal Dutch Petroleum Company merged with them, they shortened the name. The design of the logo changed over the years in line with trends in graphic design. It is in 1948 that we first saw a logo that looks like the one we know nowadays. Since that time, the logo was improved to simplify it and give it a more modern look. Yamaha. This logo is probably the one that changed the most over the years. Now the logo is really simple. It is the name of the brand in capital letters and bright red with a symbol on the left. But in 1898, we couldn't see anything similar in these two logos. It was an elaborate design of a Chinese phoenix holding a tuning fork in its mouth, as the company was known for selling top-quality organs at that time. After different designs with the tuning forks alone, the design drastically changed with the piano in 1934. It didn't last long, as we could see the tuning forks alone again during the following years. It is only in 1967 that we saw a logo similar to the one we see nowadays. There are now 2 different logos, a purple one for the Yamaha Corporation and a red one for Yamaha Motor, the brand known for selling motorcycles. And even if you're on the road, you can still see the tuning forks on the left. Apple. You probably have one of these bitten apples right in front of you on your Mac, your iPhone, or your iPad. But did you ever wonder what it looked like before this brand was so popular? The original logo featured Isaac Newton under an apple tree, but they were looking for something simpler, so they preferred a colorful bitten apple instead. The myth says that this is an homage to Alan Turing, a homosexual who ended his life by biting into a poison apple. According to Rob Janoff, the designer, the only reason why the apple is bitten is to make sure that we won't mistake it for a tomato. Then, in 1998, when Steve Jobs returned to the company, they designed a monochrome logo that they could put on all their products without making it look childish. And you can probably see the result right in front of you as you're watching this video. Starbucks. If you like to buy a coffee every day, you probably asked yourself this question while you were waiting in line. Who is this woman in the picture? You will find the answer on the original logo, before 1987. On this logo, you can see a mermaid with her breast exposed and her legs spread. But what does it have to do with coffee? It was a representation of a twin-tailed siren from the 15th century. She represented the temptation men can't resist, just like you can't resist buying this expensive coffee. To make the logo more family-friendly, her breasts were covered by her hair from 1987 to 1992. And following this, they also cropped the picture so we couldn't see that she was spreading her legs. We thought that the logo was weird when we first saw it, but it is just weirder now that we have seen the original picture. Twitter. If you want to tweet about a fun fact, tell your friends about this. You probably see this blue logo with the blue bird every day, but the original one is a little more disgusting. Back in 2005, people were looking for names for their new social media platform. They came up with names like Twitch and Friendstalker, but the one they finally chose was Twitter. However, the logo they designed was not really good looking. Noah Glass came up with the idea and thought that it inspired youthfulness. We are really happy to see that they changed their minds and chose the blue bird instead. We don't think that Twitter would have been really popular with this strange green design. Would you like to see any of these brands using their original logos to sell vintage products? Tell us what would be your favorite one in the comment section below. And that's it for 15 famous logos that looked very different back then. If you want to hear more about logos, don't forget to watch 15 Hidden Images in Logos You Never Noticed. Thanks for watching!